Lily Mae and Val and Karen, were they officially invited? I don't know, but they're going to crash.
Decide they're going to crash it.
They got to see this. We find out that Mr. Parkhurst wants to use Richard not for his legal prowess as a lawyer, but more so just as a pimp. Jeff and Abby have rekindled their relationship as closely as you possibly can.
Is this okay on YouTube?
We're not showing that. We're not showing what he just did with his hands. She is definitely giving me the Laura Ice Queen mode here, especially when she says, "Oh, what would you like for breakfast, honey?" And she's cracking the egg in the thing. Oh my God, I was living for that.
So now ultimately we know what she was up to all along.
Of course you knew that Abby would have some trick up her, well, not her sleeve, but behind her lavender handkerchief.
Welcome to Seaview Circle, our recap podcast in which we review our favorite television shows and movies of the past, present, and possibly the future. And we do this all in service to determining whether our viewing taste is highbrow or lowbrow.
And along the way, we also discuss vintage fashions and styles and some filming locations, some of which may be lost to the decades. My name is Brady.
I am Doug.
Yes. And before we get to today's content, which is actually 3 episodes from Knots Landing Season 3, we do have some letters from the SAC comments that come off the back of our previous episode. You know, Knots Landing in the buff. That's what we ranked all the hunks, hotties, and dad bods from all 14 seasons of Knots Landing. If you haven't checked it out, you could do so via the link right there. We had put in our comments, though, we wanted to find out, was there anybody that we had missed? And so I have some comments here from YouTube. I'm not going to mention everybody's YouTube handle, but we'll just say who we forgot. So someone said, you forgot Steve, Claudia's son she gave up for adoption. Now,
I think you forgot him on purpose, didn't you?
Yes. We actually did look for photos of him in the buff, and we couldn't find any, and we just thought he was pretty hideous to begin with. So I'm sorry we did not put him on the list. We had another comment. Gary had a ranch hand during season 10 named Pete. He was in the episode where Jill cuts the saddle strap on Gary's horse, but Julie Williams was injured instead. He gives off big Bruce Springsteen vibes. Tall, dark, and dumb vibes. Sometimes a favorite of mine. Okay. I remember him.
I
vaguely.
remember that.
Yeah.
That comes back.
Someone else said, would Mark St. Clair be considered a hottie? No. He would not. Okay, someone else said, Sonny Schroyer, a.k.a. Enos from Dukes of Hazzard, was on Knots when Val ran off with Olivia. I think that's actually later in this season. Not sure if he got shirtless, but hey. Yeah, and that was kind of our thing. You know, if the people weren't taking it off, if they weren't in the buff, we didn't include him in the list.
Even though they might have taken it off somewhere else in another show.
Right.
But that doesn't count.
Right. We also had a message, John Arpaia as Manny Vasquez, though not sure he ever had the opportunity to go shirtless. He was still a handsome guy. And actually, Diane Letoulier co-signed on that, saying, Manny Vasquez, very handsome. Yeah, I would agree. He was actually a really handsome guy. However, again, we just didn't find the evidence of him without a shirt on. Anybody who wants to send us...
If you find it, send it.
Right, exactly. In fact, CBS Knots Landing, who helps us with access to pull screenshots, they actually sent us a couple in our Gmail of Gary poolside, I think in season 5, which we missed as well. So yeah, keep those images coming. We love to see it.
So if you would like to send us something, you can do so via our social media platform, or you could email us at seeviewcircle@gmail.com. Just remember, it's SEEVIEW circle.
And we also ask that you continue to like, comment, and subscribe if you've not already done so to our YouTube channel and to our Spotify. And I promise in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start putting it up on Apple or something. I haven't failed to do that. All right, so we are going to get into these 3 episodes from season 3 of Knots Landing. We are going to be covering episodes 5, 6, and 7. Let's just jump right into it. The first of these 3 episodes is called The Surprise.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
And it is written by Ellis Marcus and directed by Joseph Manduke.
So we open up with a scene where we see what at first I thought, like, am I looking at a Girl Scout? And it's Valine. She's wearing a very odd outfit. It's kind of like brown culottes, a little bit like a Girl Scout.
Right.
But what we find out is that she has received a postcard from Olivia. So it's like Breaking news.
This is exciting news. She runs across to Abby's, knocks on the door. Abby is super excited. They look at the postcard. It doesn't have a return address, but it does have the postmark of wherever Jeff has taken the children. Now, they never actually say where that is.
I was doing a little bit of research too, because I know later on they might mention something about the Cherokee Indians, and then I started looking just to see which states did the Cherokee Indians.
Right, that's
it didn't seem like they're that
strange.
far away.
I don't know why they made such a point of not telling us, but then also using it as a plot point that in that state, whatever protections she might have with her agreement might not transfer. It was kind of awkward, but whatever. I think, doesn't she go over to Richards and she asks, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
And that's when he delivers that information that the state laws might be different. And he says to her, he suggests that maybe you should meet him halfway at this point. To which Abby replies, I'd rather run him over in a crosswalk.
But it was interesting because this is one of the first times that I'm seeing Abby as super vulnerable too. She obviously is visibly still shaken.
Well, it's been weeks now, or almost, I don't know, according to the next episode, it's been 3 months since the beginning of the season. So I can see why she, at this point, would be super, super frantic. And this here finally is some information that they can use to get close to the children. That will continue through the episode. Now, we move then over to Not Slanting Motors. Mm-hmm. Kind of an awkward little scene here where suddenly Karen is trying to learn how to sell cars, right? I mean, that's the business of where they are at their used car lot. So she's learning from Gary his tips and tricks, and he's sort of dismissive to her, like, oh, she's never going to get this.
Well, and it is weird, too, because they're showing at first it looks like she's bombing out every time. For whatever reason, maybe she doesn't have the right touch, or let's face it, in the 80s still there was that taboo of a woman car salesman is not something that you would probably see. That's probably another barrier that needed to be broken.
Right, exactly. And that factors in as well. Now, the really interesting part of this particular episode that I had kind of forgotten about, but was quickly reminded and very pleasantly reminded because this is a fun storyline. We then have a scene over at Richard's law office, I guess, and we meet his new boss, who is Mr. Parkhurst.
Now, what's so weird is, I don't think I ever noticed this before, but immediately this time I'm like, I know that guy.
Okay.
But I needed to just confirm. So I did find out Mr. Parkhurst is one of the people who stars in the movie Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains.
Oh,
he's this reporter, and he's such a jerk. And so it's funny because he's playing a jerk in this show, too. Right. But anyway, his name is John Lehne, Lehne. He played Stu McGrath.
And Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains is one of our favorite movies. If you have not seen that particular episode, I'll put the little link in here. Doug talks about what an influence that movie was for him growing up. And we also found out that Claudia Lano is a fan.
I was going to say, because doesn't Claudia have a friend who was in it? She alluded to. We don't know who it is.
So anyway, in this particular scene, we find out that Mr. Parkhurst wants to use Richard not for his legal prowess as a lawyer, but more so just as a pimp. So he's got some client coming over. Harvey Franklin, I believe is his name. And he's looking to entertain this client to create some kind of working arrangement. So he's asking Richard to find some entertainment, in quotations.
Bring some ladies around.
Yes.
That's what they want. It's so ridiculous because we are going to see Richard have to reach out to try to find ladies. And who would he call?
Who else on the block is going to have
I'm going to give you a little
access?
hint. In this episode, he's wearing butter yellow sweater.
We head over to the wards and they're playing cards, but there is this dispute between Laura and Richard. They're playing with Ginger and Kenny.
And did you notice they have that old school poker table?
Right.
Proper portable poker table.
But I guess Richard is criticizing Laura for playing psychologically or something like that, when apparently she doesn't really know the rules of the game or whatever. But basically she's making it impossible for Richard to win or whatever. But anyway, they keep talking about the betting, and that is kind of a theme that runs through this episode. But when, I don't know, the baby's crying or whatever, they go in to take care of her. And Richard follows and asks if Kenny possibly knows anybody that could provide entertainment in this manner, which is crazy.
It's outrageous.
Kenny suggests that he could give concert comps or something like that, but no, he's looking for something else. Kenny says, okay, well, I do know somebody who could provide that, but I don't want to know anything about it. Okay, so he just gives
because, now Kenny is
playing... He's a dad!
He's playing good daddy now. He's no longer a playboy. Well, at least for now, he is.
All right, so I think it's the next day. We see Abby getting ready to get into a taxi cab. This is where I thought it was really strange. She's going to take a taxi cab out of state? That's
Yeah, I thought
rather
that was
expensive.
weird.
Anyway.
I guess we're going to have to do more research and find out where more of the Cherokee Indians were, too.
I love this scene, though, because you have Lily Mae interacting with Abby, I think, maybe for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we had seen Donna Mills at the Hollywood show talking about in the Q&A, who did she wish she had more scenes with? And Donna Mills' answer was Julie Harris. But you have Julie Harris, you're kind of questioning Abby, like, about her running off to go see her ex-husband, Jeff. Like, what, is he just going to suddenly allow her to take the kids back, right? And Abby says, oh, don't worry about me, worry about him. So she is definitely on a warpath here. Like, we kind of know at this point, she's going to achieve what her goal is. Right?
Totally.
All right. So now we go over to Jeff's apartment, wherever this place is. Okay. And we are once again reminded of the lovely trumpet toy playing skills of young Brian, which I thought was interesting that he's still playing that trumpet.
Yeah, I mean,
after
he'd
all
be
this
bored
time.
of the plastic trumpet after this.
He would have
whole
moved
time.
on to like 17 other toys since then. But I guess they're just trying to like reestablish who these characters are. And you're also showing that maybe Jeff is also not as good of a parent as maybe we thought he might be because he was so critical of Abby's parenting. But you find out pretty soon that he wasn't there to pick up the kids from school.
Right. That was the big dilemma, is that the kids reveal that they came home with somebody who gave them a lift. At first, Jeff is kind of perplexed. And doesn't Olivia come back and say something sassy to him?
It's like, well, he knew our name or something like that.
Yeah, he knew our name.
Jeff's like, okay. So anyway, pretty soon, though, we see that there's a knock on the door, and it is Abby. The kids are thrilled to see her, but Jeff is less so. Jeff is like, how did you get here? And she says, well, I hired a private investigator, and he's right outside. So if there's any trouble, I will,
Right. Now, at this point, you realize, okay, she's had people tailing him for a while.
Right.
Since she got this postmark.
Right.
Postcard. So.
And in fact, it is her investigator who picked up the kids, right? The investigator picked up the kids when he saw that nobody was there to pick them up. So this shows to Jeff that Abby knows that he's not as great of a parent as maybe he's been purporting, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Then there's like this whole little argument or whatever. And then she goes to call the police, right? She's going to go to call the police and say, oh, this guy has basically kidnapped my children or whatever. And then he goes to like pull the phone out of her hand. And it's like this whole violent moment of violence, pretty much. The kids come in, they're crying. It's a whole thing. So she does stay for dinner. It was so funny.
It's funny because she becomes Miss Homemaker, too. I was like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Abby's
she's wearing an apron.
Right. It's the first time you've ever seen her doing dishes or cooking.
It definitely seems out of character, I'm afraid. But I did like this scene, though, because you finally get to see Tanya Crow delivering a moment here, because now she's actually given some material where she can really show her acting
these
skills.
are probably actually her first real proper storyline, lines, it seems like.
And there's so much more to come, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff is just showing himself as a total jerk throughout this episode. And of course, they need to really show that to the audience as well, because we have to be rooting for Abby, even though maybe last season we were less so rooting for Abby's skills as a mother because, she was running around with Richard and doing
we have
all this
just
stuff.
the lesser of two evils.
The lesser of two evils. Exactly. Yeah. Jeff is like, because doesn't they have this little cute thing, mother and daughter, where she says, oh, I love you. And then Olivia says, I love you too. And then Abby says, I love you 3. And Olivia says, I love you 4. Yeah. And then just like, ugh. Didn't he call her like baby?
Yeah, they both called each other baby too at some point. Like he called her baby, and then she came back and said something, baby.
It's like the original Cookie, right? When Paul Galveston
don't call me Cookie.
Yeah, exactly. Don't call me baby. So anyway, Abby makes it very clear she's not going anywhere. In fact, I guess there's some plans to go hiking the following day, and Abby's like, I'll be right there with you. Okay.
Well, we're back at the Ewings.
Right.
And we have Lily Mae's out there in the kitchen.
We have Gary telling Val and Lily Mae this kind of B storyline. This definitely reeks of B storyline of an episode where the lesser known characters have the majority of the show. Not that Abby's a lesser known character, but certainly Val and Gary are some of the main characters, Karen, some of the main characters. But they have this B storyline of Karen trying to sell cars. And so Gary reveals that he's placing a bet, right? Because Val says, oh, I'm sure she's going to be able to do it. Because what does Lily May say? Lily says, I do declare a woman selling cars. And Val's like, what are you talking about? Karen's going to be great at this. So Val bets $1. She bets a whole $1 to Gary.
She's a big spender.
But I just thought it was funny because it was kind of like, I don't know, just kind of silly, this storyline. However, later on, it does have a payoff. We'll get to that. All right, now we're going to go back to this mysterious location of wherever Jeff Cunningham lives. And we have this little hiking trip, but it's not really a hiking. It's more like just like a park, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that I put this on because we really need to discuss...
Yeah, that was definitely Olivia Newton-John. It's very Olivia Newton-John, like physical.
Yes.
And she's wearing this lavender headband. Looking great. You know, she doesn't look like she's been hiking at all.
No.
But they do it does get
a little physical, doesn't it?
It sure gets physical.
Well, first you have Abby trying this new tactic of like really laying on the charm. She's being really flirtatious once again with Jeff. She realizes, okay, well, if this doesn't work, this tactic doesn't work, I'm going to use this tactic. We don't really know how much of this is like her master plan, but what she's basically getting to is she's trying to lower his guard because she wants to kind of get in there. And
they start playing with a shoe. That was the thing.
Right.
Like they grab his shoe and they start playing, like throwing his shoe around, like so that he wants his shoe.
Well, right, because first she actually says to Jeff, okay, if he's not willing to budge, then she will move to where he lives. She says, my kid's the most important thing. So if you're not going to budge, then I'm going to move here. And then he's like, oh, well, I won't really like that, but I can't stop you or something like that, right? Yeah. He says to her with the flirtations, he's like, I know exactly what you're trying to do here. And it's not going to work anymore. I'm no longer an easy mark. And that's when she says, oh, want to bet? And then she steals the shoe. Then she
steals his shoe.
Right. So it's like this whole like little football
And you know, and
it
kind of happens a few times, right? She's almost got him, and then he's like, oh, no, I'm not doing this.
Right.
So it happens like twice before.
Cat and mouse. The cat and the mouse end up in the river.
Right.
Okay.
And then, of course, once they end up in the river...
The proximity is too hard to ignore, although he still backs off, right? Because she kind of goes in to give him a kiss, and then he's like, oh, no. Meanwhile, the kids are loving this, and there's like all this like really sappy music playing. It's a little
cheesy.
You know, it's a little cheesy. But, I mean, I kind of like that. I mean, who doesn't want to see Abby fall into a river wearing a lilac
It is nice to see her get a little dirty, and her makeup still looks great, you know?
Right. Wasn't there a line when they're in the river where she actually says, oh, do you still want it?
She's like the queen of blue balls, isn't she? She's like, you still want it, don't you?
Even though he turns her down in that moment, Abby still gives this look of like, oh, I got this. It's like this really great face moment from Donna Mills. All right, now we're going to go over to the hotel lobby where Richard has arranged a meeting with some hookers.
Don't call them hookers.
Sorry. High-end call girls / escorts.
No, escorts.
They are named, oh gosh, I can't remember. Moira
and Jean.
Okay, you wrote it down.
Yeah, Moira
These
and
are
Jean.
two young lasses, and the client comes in, and so Richard sort of intercepts him, and he says, oh, you know, these are... And he immediately picks Moira, or whatever.
They were really fun. I really enjoyed them. I was
needed more of them. I just love this idea of Richard being a pimp.
Well, he picked the one that was a bit more goth.
Yeah, which kind of reminded me a little bit of Amanda Lear.
Little Amanda Lear. She's very tall and lanky.
Androgynous.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll hear how that goes in a little bit. But now we're going to go back to Jeff's, and we have... You know, the river joke was funny just because it's a funny scene, but it also has implications because now these two grown adults who once were married and certainly created 2 children are now in their pajamas and or robe
because their clothes are wet
to dry.
And we're going to see this a little later again, aren't we?
I know. You got to force these plot points.
Oldest trick in the book.
Writing trick in the book.
Yeah.
They're by the fireplace. And by the way, that sound effect of the fireplace was really not so great. It was really like turned up really too loud. What I thought was funny was that this is now Jeff being the aggressor. And now Abby's trying to be kind of more reticent and shy in this moment. But I have to tell you, no offense to the actor, but the character of Jeff is just a total drip. I didn't see any chemistry between he and Abby at all. Like, I don't see what she would have saw in him. You know what I mean? Like, she's Abby.
I don't know. You know, sometimes you can see that people, they have at least a spark, even if they're faking it. But these two, they just didn't quite seem like
even if they were divorced, and obviously there was a reason why they got divorced, there still should be some moment of, like, chemistry when they're having these moments of, like, romance. And I just didn't really see it. Anyway, do they kiss at that moment? I think they do, don't they? Or
I think they kiss.
Because certainly later on in the episode, they've kissed.
Oh, they've done more than kiss.
We'll get to that in a moment. Now, we're back over at Knots Landing Motors, and we have more kind of this awkward game of Karen trying to sell these cars. She has this client. His name is Pedro Dorado, and he wants to buy a car from her, and Gary's like, oh, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it.
Yeah, he's being very dismissive of her.
Gary.
Yeah, you bad boy.
But actually, Gary was wrong, because when the guy comes back, he doesn't want just one car. He wants 4 cars.
Right. He kept thinking that she was bombing out on each one, but he was just doing his research.
Yeah, and so she even then negotiates for a better price for Knots Landing Motors in that moment, which I thought was kind of cool. And Gary's impressed.
Right, she's done very well.
Now, this is a plot point, because when they ask him why he's buying these cars and where they're going or whatever, he says, oh, I'm taking them back down to Mexico and I'm going to run them on gasohol.
Yeah, gasohol.
That's what he called it, gasohol.
I wonder if that's ethanol.
Right, it's something like that. It must
be like before ethanol. Maybe that's what they called it. I can't remember.
Right, it's a wheat-based gas, I guess, that he's able to... And then Karen's like, well, these engines aren't going to run on that. And he says, well, after I get through with them, they will. So this is what sparks the storyline for Gary and Abby going forward for season 3. This is ultimately what pushes those two smashing together.
Yeah.
So that's Pedro Dorado. We'll see more of him in later episodes.
So we go back to a scene with Mr. Parkhurst.
He's super happy.
Yeah, he's super happy.
Good job, Richard.
Yeah, you did a great job.
You're a great pimp.
Harvey Franklin was very happy with Moira. And then what made me laugh is every time we see him, he always says, ciao. Like, I just go, you're such a cheese ball.
And here's the thing is, Richard, every time this is happening, he's still like, oh, did you need me to help you with X, Y, and Z? Something that's like actually related
real
to
work.
To their work. And he's like, no, it's good. And then doesn't he like even throw...
Yeah, there is. I think that's in
another
another episode coming up, but Richard has given him work that he's done. And after Richard leaves, you see him throw it in the circular filing cabinet.
Outrageous. All right. Following day, we see that, surprise, surprise, Jeff and Abby and the kids have returned to Knots Landing.
And we see the Volkswagen in the driveway, the VW bus.
Love the continuity of the cars. Always love the continuity with the clothes as well. We'll talk about that later. But here we have Karen running up and saying, like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, she's pissed. Because you remember, she was an ally of Jeff for quite a long time. And then when he took the kids...
That's a no-no.
Yeah,
that was
that's
a no-no.
A big no-no.
She rails into him, and he's kind of like, But then we have a scene where it is very apparent that Jeff and Abby have rekindled their relationship as closely as you possibly can.
Is this okay on YouTube?
We're not showing that. We're not showing what he just did with his hands. However, we do want to note that we did grade Jeff on his body using these photos from this episode. They just happened to be the very following episode.
Perfect.
So anyway, I can't remember what his ranking was. He might have been a swipe right. But if we had known more about how boring he was, maybe we wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think we probably would have swiped left.
Oh, gosh. All right. So here is Abby really using reverse psychology on Jeff right now, because he's sort of suggesting that, maybe they should move back in together into Abby's house. But then he's like, I don't know, that might be too soon, right? For the kids, we don't want to confuse them if they're not totally sure. And so then it all becomes this thing where, why don't we just get remarried?
Yeah, isn't that, it's always the most easy solution.
What a smart
television.
Choice. Yeah.
Why would you get married
this was
again?
Feeling really stupid.
Well, again, there's a reason behind it.
Right.
So if he's that dumb to go along with it, fair enough.
And in hindsight, knowing who Abby is, it's totally fine. But if you were watching this for the first time, you'd be like, Abby, what are you doing? What is this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So then we have, again, I think Laura interrupting Abby, asking Richard for advice. Again, we don't really hear what the advice is, but she's cooking something up with him. That's what that is, right? And the tongues are wagging on Seaview Circle. Mostly Lily Mae's tongue is wagging.
Yeah.
What has she said? They're partaking in cribbage.
Yeah, I'm partaking in cribbage.
But basically people are saying, okay, these two are getting close once again, and it's a big thing. Okay. Jeff actually then goes over to Knots Landing Motors to sort of ask for Karen's permission because he tells her that they're planning to get married.
Right. He said, we're going at 1 o'clock. We're meeting at the courthouse and we're going to get married.
Right. By the way, the pedometer goes off here for Miss Karen Fairgate. But I think Karen can already smell that there's a rat here. She does not believe this for a second that this is really happening. I mean, how could this be happening, right? We then have a real quick scene over at the Ewings where Gary owns up and he actually pays off his debt to Val. But instead of giving her $1, he gives her $10 because that's showing how wrong he was.
Aww.
Then there's some little information about the courthouse, and then we go over to the courthouse because basically Lily Mae and Val and Karen, were they officially invited? I don't know, but they're going to crash.
Decide they're going to crash it.
Right.
Because why not?
They got to see
wedding.
this. They got to see
Knots
this.
Landing. Of course you're going to go crash
This
it.
was weird. We go to the courthouse, and not only is Jeff there, of course, waiting, but then his mother is there again, which makes no sense because she was so against Abby, obviously. Why would she even show up? Maybe they need the witness.
Now, incidentally, I looked up on the teletalk just to see where that was. So that was the Sierra Madre City Hall and Police Department. Oh. So it's 232 West Sierra Madre Boulevard in Sierra Madre. But Richard's office was also in that building as well. So, they must have done all those scenes the same day. Once again,
anytime you go on location, you try to get as many locations together at the same time. All right, so we're here at the courthouse, and what happens? There is no Abby. She's nowhere to be found.
But somebody shows up with an envelope.
Yes.
And they serve Jeff.
Yes, it's a restraining order to stay away from Abby and the kids. And if he breaks the restraining order, then she will sue him for stealing the kids or whatever.
And I think there was a violation of the child custody.
Right.
That's how she got it.
Right,
It was based on the fact that he violated the custody agreement by stealing the kids. So now she got him.
Right.
So that's it. So now ultimately we know what she was up to all along.
Of course you knew that Abby would have some trick up her, well, not her sleeve, but behind her lavender handkerchief.
Behind her handkerchief.
Come on.
Did you see that Lily Mae picked up the corsage that wasn't being used? It's in true Lily Mae fashion. She's like, oh, I'm not going to let that go to waste.
Yes.
So she picks it up.
That was great.
Funny. Cute.
Karen is actually impressed as well with Abby's maneuvering. She says, you really hit him with the whole enchilada.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby said, he hurt me. And nobody gets away with that. And that's how the episode ends. And so in a way, it's sort of like foreshadowing for that character. Now, I will say that particular episode felt almost like a filler on the album. Okay, what I mean by that is, of course, there is drama here with getting the kids back, but we really do need to get that taken care of at some point. And so they threw that in here, and the rest of the storylines are kind of just sort of building. So this is really them getting into season 3 and realizing, okay, we got to start pushing things forward, okay? Because we had the first 2 episodes, which were all the drama about Sid dying.
Yeah.
Then you had the 3rd episode, which was the aftermath of Sid dying. Then the 4th, introducing Lily Mae. Now we got to get the kids back. And I really feel that after this episode, we're really sort of like moving forward with the rest of the season. But this felt a little bit like a stall to me, like clean up the business here.
Right, you have to start moving those storylines forward.
So what did you think of the brow meter for this one?
Well, I gave it, now remember, out of a 5, I give it a 2.75.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're generous. I gave it only a 2.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I just felt like it was kind of
it made me laugh. There was some good comedy in there.
There was some good comedy.
So,
I don't know.
It was a bit schmaltzy.
It was a bit schmaltzy. But at least the kids are back in the cul-de-sac. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Now we are going to move ahead to the next episode. This is titled One of a Kind, episode 6 from season 3. And it is July. as this episode's airing of our podcast. So you've heard of Christmas in July? Well, here we are. One of a kind. This is written by Sarah Ann Friedman and directed by Kim Friedman. There must be some relation there. I don't know what it is, but someone tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
Now, if you think we're going to go through this episode with as much detail as the last one, you are mistaken, because we've already covered the majority of this episode in our Knots Landing Favorite Christmas Memories podcast from last December, which you can see right here in its entirety. We are going to show you the clips from that in just a moment, and then afterwards we will supplement anything that we didn't talk about, because we really focused on the Christmas elements in that Favorite Christmas Memories episode, and so we'll maybe have a couple other things to say afterwards. So take it away, Brady and Doug. Merry Christmas. Here we have that modern throuple of Richard, Laura, and Scooter trimming the tree. Isn't that a sweet moment?
That was an interesting moment. Yes.
I believe in that episode that Scooter even gave Laura a little kiss.
He did in the car. He gave her a little kiss in the car, and I think Richard might have seen it. And he didn't seem too bothered.
Diana saw it.
Oh, Diana saw it. Okay.
She was like, oh, hi, Laura.
I think Richard seemed pretty okay with it.
He seemed pretty okay with it, because even after he had done that super romantic gesture by placing the red bow in Laura's bed, she woke up in the morning.
love that. The bow that went all the way from the bed, down the stairs, and then outside, and there, wrapped up, is this beautiful powder blue Buick Regal.
Unbelievable.
Brand new. I'm like,
so
wow.
excited, and Jason's there. He's super excited.
He's finally redeemed himself.
They go and take a little test run, and on their return, Richard is usurped by Scooter, who delivers a brand new
he rolls up in a brand new
Mercedes.
Mercedes, and it's for Laura.
But like you say, he doesn't seem too concerned about it. He's like, "That's okay. It's all good. Let's take the Mercedes."
Remember, Laura was like, "Oh, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it." And he's like, "You're stupid not to take this car."
Okay, well, this was also the Christmas, if you remember, where Lily Mae made Val the patchwork quilt.
I remember that.
Gary is shown the quilt in the making, right? And Lily Mae is super excited about this.
She has got pieces of fabric from everybody in the cul-de-sac, including Abby. I think she's
Abby's
got
pants.
Abby's pants. Now, I don't even want to know what part of the pants she got in there.
Right? I mean, there might be stains. There might be stains.
I don't want to know.
But then later on, when they go shopping, I think maybe for a gift for Olivia or something.
I think it's the only time I've ever seen anybody from Knots Landing in a thrift store.
Yeah.
And so it was Valine and Gary.
There's a quilt there, and Val says,
she says, I hate quilts.
I hate quilts. And Gary's like,
oh, yes.
What happens is that there's a scene in the kitchen where Lily Mae is making Christmas cookies, and she's regaling of all the wonderful Christmases that she had with Val when Val was a child, and saying how they used to sing and pray and exchange gifts. And she makes a point of saying that handmade gifts were always the best gifts. But then when she leaves, Val turns to Gary and says, yeah, that's not how it was. Right? Because
she's really pissed off.
I guess there was a Christmas where, because it was Lily Mae was
she was supposed to go to Aunt June's house.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Not Aunt Ginny.
No.
Aunt June.
Aunt June, whoever that is. But they were going to Aunt June's house, and Lily Mae did not show up. That was just a painful
because
Christmas
she
note.
sent a store-bought patchwork quilt in her place. Yeah. And so the exact quote was, I've hated patchwork ever since.
Yeah. I pretty much hate patchwork, too.
I'm
not a fan of
I'm not
patchwork.
necessarily a fan. So then later on that night, there is a little chorus of carolers outside on Seaview Circle.
Oh, and this part is so great because Lily Mae's got her auto harp. She's there in the background along with all the children.
Yeah, and Ginger and
Ginger,
Kenny with their new baby. And really the only appearance we see them featured.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is that Gary and Val are there and they're watching Lily Mae. And Gary says, gosh, she looks just like a little child herself. And I guess there was that whole backstory about how when they had Val, Lily Mae's husband doted all on Val and paid no attention to Lily Mae. And that's why she went off to do her singing.
Right.
And so there was a way for Gary to sort of recontextualize what her trauma was from her childhood. So then the next morning, Christmas Eve morning, there comes that gift.
Crisis averted.
Crisis averted. Out comes the quilt.
I kept thinking to myself, oh boy, she's going to open up that quilt. She's going to scream.
Yeah.
She's going to be like, oh my God.
But she can clearly tell that this time the quilt was handmade. And Lily Mae says, isn't it so soft, sugar?
Isn't it so soft?
There's a wonderful moment. And this really was a very precious Christmas memory.
That was a great memory. I see a nice picture here that brings back another great Christmas memory. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Teddy Becker, Karen's old boyfriend, conveniently shows up now that Sid is gone?
Right. Only a couple episodes afterwards.
It just so happens that her old flame, I guess it was right before she met Sid.
Yeah, first boyfriend before Sid, and maybe even a little bit of an overlap, because it appears that maybe there was an off again, on again type of thing.
And, he was more in line with the way that Karen thinks. He was a political activist.
Right. Yeah. But of course what happens here is that he's actually kind of is there for a reason, as we will soon find out, right? They kind of catch up, and then he's introduced to Diana.
Yeah. There's an instant connection there.
Yes.
And
she seems kind of enamored with him. And
she's so excited because he's so politically connected.
He's very charming.
Yeah.
And even Abby can see maybe that there's something going on here. Just like she thought with Sid and Linda.
Right. Doesn't she say something to Karen like, oh, he's like...
She says,
or she gives a look.
Same old story. Daughter bags mom's old boyfriend, just like in the soap operas.
Just like in the soap operas, which this is, a soap opera. Right. Doesn't he decide to bring Diana to one of the political functions? And she's so excited. Yeah. So it's like Karen's just kind of like, yeah, I think it's great. But there is a little bit of a look on her face like, because
Karen assumed maybe that there might be a little rekindling of their own relationship. So when she is seeing all this interest put onto Diana, she has to say something.
They come home late.
Yes.
And she was waiting. She's all dolled up. She's waiting for him.
She went to bed, but she didn't take off her makeup. Let's put it that way.
She was waiting for him, and I think he's like, oh, it's late. I got to go. And
this is where he drops the bombshell that he's not interested in Diana for the reason that Karen thinks that he is. He's interested in Diana because he thinks there's a possibility that she may be his daughter.
Right. And doesn't he kind of say, well, I looked at the timeline of when she's born, and I think that we were dating kind of at that point.
I believe Karen
which I think
is
we're
like very taken aback by this. And she says, there's absolutely no way. Right. To him, she's like, no, I know it. I can feel it in my bones. Diana is Sid's child. But then in private,
she starts doing research.
Yeah.
Because she's like, maybe I better double check. And, fine, fair enough.
Yeah.
Double check.
This is a moment right out of the Brady Bunch episode of Aunt Jenny. Yes. Because there is a photo in Sid's old photo album.
This was my favorite part of this moment. It's a picture that is later revealed to the audience, and it's Claudia Lano dressed in Victorian garb. So, of course, Diana couldn't be his daughter because this is Sid's grandma's photo.
Sid's jeans.
And I think what was really funny was it looked like the kind of photo that you used to get at like Knott's Berry Farm.
I've totally had
where
this
they
photo,
do those like or Wild West. I think we probably did one together with your family at one point. I know we did.
On Christmas Eve, there's this moment where Teddy is talking to Diana and Eric's there, and I think Michael's fallen asleep under the tree.
He's asleep under the tree.
Right. And so he's saying how he doesn't have as close of a relationship with his own kids following, like, I guess, the dissolution of his marriage.
I guess his ex-wife was getting remarried and they wanted to adopt the children or something like that. So
it's this long soliloquy with so many of those facial expressions from the actor. It's like, and so I think even Karen is, she feels for this guy, right? So she's
watching all this from the wings
to not tell him that Diana is definitely not his child, to give him that hope, which I thought was kind of strange. Anyway, it was a sweet moment. It's nice to see there's a little bit of a fire within Karen, even after her husband had just died recently. So I think it kind of opens that character up to more possibilities as we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that was lovely.
Wasn't that cute?
Now, we're going to go through a couple little additional notes here. We did rewatch this episode last night, so particularly the scenes that we didn't talk about in that particular Christmas special. First, I want to mention the redometer goes off quite a few times in this episode. In fact, We have Karen wearing the same robe from season 2, episode 15 in the opening scene. And then later on, she is wearing red when she goes on the little lunch date with Teddy. And then she's also wearing that pink and red satin robe a little bit later on as well.
And
so
you know, I like a big pink-red combo.
He likes a big pink and red
pink-red combination together is very cool. Actually.
No, it is actually very cool. So that is a note we wanted to make. I also really did like that opening sequence with Richard and Karen at the dining room table where they're stringing up the popcorn. Karen has this sort of like voiceover as it's, you know, panning over the Christmas tree and the decorations. She says something like, Christmas is unavoidable. It's going to come whether you want it to or not. And maybe she's intimating that this year they'd rather it not come because it's too raw after Sid passing away.
Totally.
You're getting a little bit more of the backstory of what's going on currently between Richard and Laura, and that is going to continue throughout the next 2 episodes. And then we also really do see when Teddy calls and then Karen gives the backstory to Richard as to what that relationship's like, you can really see how much this guy meant to her. I think she says something like, oh yeah, he was a huge influence on me until Sid came along. So we're like, okay, who is this guy? We want to meet this guy. Mm-hmm. Later on, we had the two of them walking. We couldn't really detect where that was.
To me, it looked like it was Santa Monica, like Ocean Park area, but I couldn't find anything there that could give me a clue. Well, and then there was one thing we saw was said Estrella de Mar, but I kept looking up old locations of restaurants and things in Santa Monica, and I don't see it. So that could have been a fake
street sign way in the back, but it was so hard to see.
It could have been a fake sign, though, too.
And I tell you, it was really distracting because they had all these really cheap Christmas red bows like stuck in the bushes in the trees. You know, I could just imagine like the prop department's like, oh yeah, we have to make it look Christmassy. We have to make it look Christmassy because they probably
reminded me of like, you know, when you watch Fantasy Island and they have the fake red Hawaiian flower that they stick everywhere too. Same kind of thing.
It was the same kind of thing. Yeah. And then if you notice, there was those carolers. They were like satanic carolers.
Oh yeah, they look like Handmaid's Tale or like some witch movie carolers wearing all black.
I didn't get that. Trim. I didn't get that, but whatever. We have this nice scene actually again where it shows the chemistry between these two characters, and of course, Teddy Becker is portrayed by Terry Kaiser, who we've already discussed, has some really great facial expressions there.
Got some real magician's eyes.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I love when they're talking a little bit about, you know, how they met and Karen's political activism. There's this discussion of whether or not, you know, Karen's given up on New York because that's where they met. And she says, oh, no, I just really like it here. And then he says, oh, you didn't turn into a Republican, did you?
And she said, no.
She says, you know me better than that. And then there's that little moment where he helps out the protesters across the street because they're not putting enough effort into it, enough passion into it. And that's what prevents them from actually getting their lunch reservations, so they have to end up eating hot dogs, which again, they walk in this other area. There's more of these like bows in the trees. I don't know. It was just really strange.
It was a bit weird.
Anyway, later on, they're back at home and we have, of course, him meeting Diana in that crazy fuchsia sweater.
Oh, I don't know what that sweater was made out of, but it's very cool. It looked like it was like squares of mohair. Actually, it was very kind of 80s. Contempo Casuals, 1981.
Right. There's another great look in that scene, too. Whatever Karen is wearing, it's like this peacock blue. I don't know what it is, but it's got some cool designs on the back. Anyway, these are just really cute little scenes where you're showing Diana and Teddy, and you don't know at the time that Teddy thinks that he is Diana's father. You think that he's kind of interested in her, or she's clearly interested in him, and Karen picks up on that, and so does Abby.
Well, that's what I really enjoyed, those scenes where Abby is like her typical, oh, well, just look at the way that he's looking at her. You know, of course, because everything for Abby is always about sex. So
right.
She
was trying to flirt with him too, and he turned her down. That's what stung, right?
Right.
There's a great scene, though, in the kitchen where they're talking about this and how same old story, soap opera, daughter bags mom's old boyfriend. I love Karen's response to all that. She leaves the kitchen and she turns off the light, leaving Abby in the dark, and then Abby kind of smirks. It's great. And then again, as the episode unfolds, you see what's happening here is that Karen's reticent about getting involved with this guy, but then she also sees that her daughter is interested in him, so she's trying to like tamp that down, but not too much because obviously her daughter is going through an exciting moment. He's this whatever he does, he goes to these dinners and meets the governor, and she doesn't want to limit that for Diana necessarily. There's that great scene after they return home from the correspondence dinner, and Karen is still all dolled up. She's wearing that robe.
Right.
She goes up and she talks to Diana, and it's just this really beautiful scene where they're friendly on good terms, and she sees the excitement in her daughter's eyes, and yet she's still kind of like, "Ooh, this is weird," whatever. Then we have the next day, Teddy revealing that he thinks that Diana is, in fact, his daughter.
Karen thinks about it, and she's not sure. Because he's saying, do you remember this, that, and the other? Karen can't quite remember. So maybe it's possible.
Right.
So then for a brief few moments, it's literally boy.
And she even says it later on, because remember there's this scene where Teddy is talking to Diana and Eric by the Christmas tree, and Karen overhears him talking about how upset he is that he's no longer in contact with his own children from another marriage. And so she gets this idea to just let him believe that Diana is his daughter, which I thought was really strange. Like, that's quite a thing that you're giving someone hope for, It's not like a job or something. This is, a child. It's your parentage. Like, it's kind of crazy. Maybe she felt she could do that since Sid was dead. Maybe if Sid hadn't died, she wouldn't have done that.
Right, but maybe because Sid is gone, then doesn't hurt to give him.
And if the guy comes back, and we do know that the guy does come back in another season, but I don't really remember the details of that. Anyway, I just thought it was a little strange.
Totally.
There is another really great scene at the end where they do find the photograph that proves that Diana is the daughter of Sid.
Isn't it Sid's grandmother?
Right.
And of course, it's Claudia Lano dressed up. And it's her.
Right. I do love that scene. I think that it shows the great mother-daughter relationship that they currently have, but will soon be tested even more. Karen admits to Diana that she felt Teddy's reunion could have been a source of excitement. It could have been even sexy. But the reason she could never really let it go there is because she knew so freshly off of losing Sid that whatever Teddy could give would never be what she had with Sid. And she actually sort of thanks Diana for taking him off her hands during this period, which I thought was funny. And they also admit, surprisingly, that it was a good Christmas despite having just lost Sid. And I thought that was sweet.
I wanted to say, too, and this is something just between these 3 episodes, there's definitely more comedy in all 3 of them compared to those first 2, because let's face it, it was really a little depressing getting into season 3 with Sid dying. So now we have some lightheartedness too, interspersed with some serious topics, but it's good.
Wanted to mention also real quick, even though we discussed it in the footage that we already showed, that the party at Richard and Laura's is great. Everybody's looking really fantastic. There's a moment that we forgot to talk about where Teddy and Diana, they're like talking about eggnog, and they're talking about whether or not it's going to be clean
or dirty.
I thought that was really, really funny. Obviously talking about whether or not it's going to have alcohol, but it's funny because there's still like this flirtation in a way, because Teddy says, "Oh, I'll have it whatever way you're having it," or something.
And
like
I wondered though, did Diana have the dirty version?
Of course she did, darling.
I think she's only 17.
That's okay. She's already been drinking beers out of the beach.
Well,
I really did like the Richard and Laura interplay in this episode, even though obviously we're seeing that Scooter is showing an interest in Laura. Laura is still saying to him at this point, "I really want to make my marriage good. There has been some improvement." And there's that whole discussion about whether or not they should keep Scooter's gift of that brand new Mercedes. And Richard is like, "No, absolutely. Please keep it. I want you to have it. You deserve it." Secretly, he wants to drive around the Mercedes.
Yeah, I want to drive around in it.
But anyway, I just thought it was great. And they both look really cute in that episode. Obviously, we're going to talk more about them in just a moment. But before we do that, what is your brow meter score for One of a Kind?
I went with a 3.
That is exactly what I said as well. I thought it was better than the last one. I felt that the storyline with Diana and Teddy and Karen was an interesting one. Obviously, it doesn't so much have implications moving forward, but I thought it was good. And I thought, touching on the Christmas, it made perfect sense after the death in the family. Normally, a Christmas episode, I might cringe a little bit, but I felt that it made sense. And then it also gave a nice moment for Valine and Lily May, because obviously we know how much Valine doesn't like Lily May, but for them to have that little moment of closure and for Valine to be impressed by the handmade quilt, I thought that was a really sweet moment. So 3. Yeah. All right, now we're going to move on to the last episode we're covering today. This is called Secrets. This is written by John Plachette, my friend.
And you can tell because it's a really good one.
It's a really good one. He's always delivering the goods. This is the 5th script that John Plachette has written for Knots Landing. The director is Gabrielle Beaumont, and this is the 2nd episode that she's directed. Now, I don't know if you caught in the last few minutes of our last episode, but we recently went to see Claudia's show, and guess who was in the audience right in front of us, my friends? John Plachette! And his wife. Lynn. And it was great. We actually got to meet John after the show. And, Claudia was like, oh, yeah, maybe John will be on your show. And we kind of talked about it loosely. I said to him, oh, yeah, don't watch the next episode, which was the In the Buff, right? I was like, this is really lowbrow. And then I had to tell him, I was like, dude, like, you're in the 2nd tier. You're not in the top tier. He's like, I'm not doing your show. I'm not doing it. It was funny. Anyway, great episode to discuss here, Secrets.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're at the Averys in the kitchen, and very quickly we learn that Richard and Laura have planned to go away for the weekend to San Francisco for 3 days. Laura's made all these reservations for all these great sounding restaurants. So you know what these two are going to get up to. They're going to be whining and dining.
And something else.
And something else, because like Laura can tell that something's on Richard's mind, but he won't really say. He says something like, oh, don't worry, it's nothing that a weekend away with a beautiful broad won't help. And then Laura says, oh, sounds dirty. And Richard says, well, I can't promise anything. And then she says, I can.
Woo! Yeah, she's a real strumpet in this one, isn't she?
It's getting hot in here.
Laura's looking great.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
She's on fire.
All right. Now, before we get back to more of those shenanigans, we're going to go back over to Knots Landing Motors, where Karen and Gary are worried because they're going to be audited. And I'll tell you, after the events of season 2, they deserve it.
Yeah, they should get audited. So the IRS is coming.
Right. But of course, Karen is really worried because she can't figure out what all these codes mean in Abby's old books. And Gary doesn't know either. So Gary says, listen, I don't trust her. I know she's trouble, but maybe we need to bring Abby back into the fold just to get through this audit. And of course, Karen doesn't want to do it. I think there's a little bit of pride, obviously, because Karen's already fired Abby. But I also feel like she's just a little scared of Abby, to be honest. But this sets up a really fun storyline, I think, in this particular episode. Now, let's go back over to Richard's law office and this slimy Mr. Parkhurst. He really is.
Oh, yeah, he's a slime.
Gross.
But, they do have this establishing shot, which is the 1900 Avenue of the Stars. So very close to where, like, CAA is in West Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then they come to the interior, and the office is really cool, actually. I noticed that those pillows on the sofa are these kind of 70s style striped, like almost like velour.
Right.
Sometimes you wish when you watch these shows that you could just have a magic wand. And be like,
right.
Bewitched.
Find
be like,
me this.
Could you just bring this over to my house? Bing, let's go.
So we find out pretty quickly from Mr. Parkhurst that there's another client coming to town. In fact, this guy is he's a Japanese businessman, and I believe he made his first millions importing these little things, right?
Yeah.
These are the little,
I think the standard ones. Yeah, like those. The straightforward paper umbrella.
So he's really trying to show this Japanese businessman and his friends a good time. And what does a good time mean, Doug?
Well, I was going to say, maybe it means, would you like some green tea?
I would love some green tea.
I think that's how
I think he's basically looking for geisha. He's looking for geisha in Los Angeles. And Richard did such a great time the first time around. He's looking for him to outdo himself, entertain, I think his name is Mr. Matsuma, and his colleagues. So he is looking for people that can provide some action, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just entertainment, it's action.
I think it's kind of what we saw before.
Right.
But this is going to be a little bit more intense because I think it's a few people.
Right. And of course, the party just happens to be the same weekend that Richard and Laura are supposed to go away for the romantic, I think he even calls it the second honeymoon.
Yeah.
Right?
So
this is a big moment.
We see that there's going to be a conflict now because the weekend is going to be ruined because Richard is going to be on the hook to arrange this party.
All right, we go over to the real estate office and we show Scooter there. He's having an argument with his wife that he's divorcing. They're discussing the terms of the settlement. Once again, she is played by As the World Turns Rosemary Prinz. Her name is Muriel, we find out in this episode. Anyway, they have this squabble. It gets so loud. And then, because I think Scooter says something like, oh, well, this boyfriend of yours is 25 or something like that. And then she mentions, oh, well, what about your fling with that one over there?
And
referring
of course,
to Laura across the way.
And Laura can overhear all this and see what's going on.
Right,
they have these offices are just with these like glass windows.
Right. So she's definitely feeling the heat there, right? Now we go back over now to Abby's house, and we have Abby baking a cake, or at least trying to.
That was a little weird again, too. We got this homemaking part two happening.
There's a great little moment because she's got frosting on her face, and Gary's there, by the way, because Gary's going to deliver this message that maybe we need to get Abby back over to Knots Landing Motors, and he even touches her face a little bit.
Yeah.
Some foreshadowing of the closest that is going to grow.
Yeah, I thought that they were a little too close, personally.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking. But
gotta start somewhere.
Right, you gotta start somewhere, so you might as well start in the kitchen.
I love the noise outside. The kids are playing in the pool, and Abby actually shouts out to them, Olivia, hey, please, could you drown quietly? So Gary wants Abby to come back to Knots Landing Motors to decode her own books for everybody for this audit. And of course, Abby says, well, I'm not going to do that unless Karen asks me, this is a playbook right out of J.R. Ewing. That's exactly what he did to Gary as well. All right, now we have Laura and Richard getting ready for bed, and this is where Richard is telling Laura that he cannot go away to San Francisco now because of this party that he has to assist with. And she's kind of like, yeah, whatever. She's super disappointed. She said, well, can't you just go for part of the weekend? He's like, no, I can't go. I don't want to go for the whole weekend, blah, 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 blah. I think she's already kind of thinking, okay, is something else going on here?
Yeah, she feels like something's up. She thinks that Richard is looking
up to his
for
old tricks
girl.
again.
And, there is some talk about it later on where it sounds as if he's been a little bit quieter. And obviously it's because the job.
Right.
The job is really getting to him. So
the Averys aren't communicating, Doug.
Right, not communicating.
If you don't communicate on a soap opera, what happens?
Starts drama, which is what we like.
She goes into the bathroom, she comes back, and Richard has already called Kenny once again to find more hookers.
There was a funny remark there. Richard calls Kenny and he says, well, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm breastfeeding.
Right.
And he's like, how do you do that?
right.
So he has to say...
They switch off. He's using the formula, right? Ginger uses
the
her
formula
own methods, and he uses the formula. So I guess he's going to hook him up or whatever, and then he has to cover when Laura comes back into the room, and he says, oh, yeah, I was just asking him for restaurant reservations or a caterer or something like that, because he says that when Kenny and Ginger were separated, he ate out every night.
He probably did.
That was funny.
Was definitely a double
That was definitely a John Plachette moment. Thank you very much, sir. All right, now we have this great scene following where Karen takes Abby to lunch. And it's set up that they've been talking about everything under the sun, men, makeup, haircuts. I believe even the word orgasms.
Yes, the word orgasm
used.
came
Shockingly.
into the show. I was not sure if I approved.
They're talking about anything but the real reason that Karen has invited Abby to lunch, which is to ask her to come back to Knots Landing Motors. And Abby makes Karen admit even that she's only asking her to do this because she's in a jam and their backs are against the wall.
Yep.
And then Abby turns her down.
And of course, Karen is footing this very expensive bill as well.
Later, Karen tells Gary that she's ordered all this crazy stuff off the menu. Champagne, the souffle,
lobster.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yes, exactly. And then, of course, Abby interrupts that conversation and says she has all her stuff with her. She's like, oh, I'm ready to start. I have changed my mind. It was so good.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was classic Abby. All right, now we're going to go back over to the party, scene of the party, okay? This is it a hotel room, I believe? Yes, I would love some more tea.
It looks like a hotel room. We're going to have some more. We're having green tea. I liked when he was talking to the caterer about the different foods he wanted, foreshadowing his future of being the restaurateur.
These were all the dishes that John Plachette or Richard Avery would want to cook himself.
Yeah. So, of course, he knows how to throw a party. Okay, obviously he's getting thrown the trashiest task of lining them up with ladies, but the point is he knows how to throw a good party. He knows how to create and order great food, create a great atmosphere. So this is where he really shines.
And he also, of course, asked the concierge or this caterer guy for complete discretion when the guests, when their guests arrive. Before we get to the real details of that, though, we do have this other scene with Scooter and Laura going to check out a house for a potential client. Maybe this lady was a former friend of Scooter and his wife, or I'm not really sure. But basically, she has the same MO pretty much as Scooter and the wife, which is that this guy has left her for a much younger woman who she describes as 27, blonde, legs go up to her neck. And when I say that she describes her as that, what I really mean is John Plachette is describing her as that through this character.
She was cool, though. She was a little spitfire.
She was.
Lady. I don't know who the actress was.
She was
cool.
She was really cool. And Laura is impressed by Scooter's compassion for this woman, this friend, because he basically tells her, well, don't rush things too much. I'm going to talk to your husband. We're going to set this dude straight. Don't worry about it. Because obviously, normally as a real estate agent, you want, what is it? Death, divorce, and debt?
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say, I actually was impressed with him because I would say that's how I operate too. You don't want to be a hard salesperson. You don't want to be a used car salesman.
Right.
You're selling a house. So the point is, you can't force people into doing these things.
Right.
It's not the...
Now, she called him to do it, but he's saying, let's just put the brakes on it.
Yeah.
And then, again, Laura is impressed. Now, there was some line there where Scooter says, 31 blonde, a writer with legs like Bruce Jenner. What was that?
I don't know, but I just heard the Bruce Jenner.
I thought it was really funny.
Legs like Caitlyn Jenner.
Anyway, I think there is a mention where I guess there's another house up in Santa Barbara that he needs to go look at. And so there's this whole thing where Scooter's been asking Laura to come to that. And now that Laura knows she's not going to San Francisco, she's agreeing to go up to Santa Barbara with Scooter. So now before they go off to Santa Barbara, we have Laura intercepting a call at home. And I didn't really quite understand who this was. Was this one of the ladies,
I think it was one of the ladies who was going to be coming out that night to the hotel.
Right.
And she was asking for Richard. So
and she's like, oh, and I couldn't get him at the office, so he told me to call him here.
And Laura pretends to be Spanish speaking and speaks in like broken English.
Hilarious.
She said, oh no, no home here at casa. No at casa. Or something like that.
It was really, really funny.
It was outrageous.
Yeah.
It really was outrageous. So she's going to catch
But again,
him.
she's jumping the gun here.
Right.
Okay, Richard has already been on the Scutsy scorecard, people, twice. So she knows what he's...
She does have reason to think that he might be up to no good.
Right. So that's when she's like, okay, I'm out of here. Let's go to Santa Barbara. Now, back over at Not Slanting Motors, another really funny scene here with the Karen and the Abby. We have Karen bringing up these heavy banker boxes up those long stairs at Not Slanting Motors. Gary's selling a car. He's not really paying attention.
Right. And Abby is just sticking it to her. She's like, oh, could you get that other extra little box? Oh, I'm missing this. I'm going to need all those boxes.
I didn't need May. I need April. So sending her back
she's
down.
Really pushing Karen.
Could you please make me some coffee?
And Karen is still smiling because she knows that
she doesn't want to give her the satisfaction that it's getting to her. Because Gary even offers, oh, you want me to go up there? He's like, no, I can't. I'll do it. And like she has to give donuts and all this kind of stuff. So it's just really, really funny. And I love that comic relief coming between those two.
Because they're very good friends in real life. So it's just fun to see them doing this to each other.
Love seeing them together with that banter. Now we finally get to Santa Barbara here. We have them pulling up at this house. Did you find out where that?
Oh, I did actually.
It has these groovy, weird little fountain.
You know what was interesting
pieces
about that house? This mansion has been in quite a few things.
Okay.
So this mansion is in Pasadena.
Ah.
It's called Arden Villa. It's at 1145 Arden Road in Pasadena. But it was actually used in Falcon Crest, for one thing. It was David Selby's mansion in Argentina.
Okay.
And then it was also used in Knight Rider.
Okay.
And it was used in Dynasty. And apparently there was this like famous scene of like Crystal and the other one fighting in the fountain or something.
Oh yeah, the pool fight. Oh, that's classic.
So anyway, so that's so that all happened there. So that house is used a lot.
Okay, all right. Well, according to Scooter, there is no real estate agent to meet there. He's left the key in the shrubs or something like that. They go into the house, and of course, it's very impressive. And she gives a pretty good quote on what the price she thinks it will go for.
Laura guesses $2.4 million
for that huge house.
$2.4 million in 1981. Man, I can't even imagine what it would be now.
I have a note here that Laura is definitely the dom in the butting back and forth with Scooter. She's really leading him along the way, even though he is her coach, in real estate. When it comes to this kind of relationship, he is certainly in over his head. He's really nerdy, and they're on the couch, and she's telling him, oh, don't try too hard, because he's like, oh, I have some wine in the car. Should I bring it
Right.
in?
It's very obvious what he's trying to do. And she's just kind of like, why don't you just come out and ask?
Just
come out and ask, or just don't pussyfoot around here.
Right. Because he actually admits at that point that the house isn't even for sale.
It's his friend's house.
Yeah, exactly. The person's vacationing, and he just wanted a place to take Laura away for the weekend. So she's like, why don't you just say that? Don't play any games here. And I don't think she said it at this time, but she says it later, that really the reason why she agreed to go was because Richard couldn't go to San Francisco, and then that hurts Scooter's ego because he feels like he's the leftovers. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of really awkward. He's trying to kiss her or whatever. Like, she says, oh gosh, I haven't necked on a couch in so many years. So it's like she's definitely more experienced in this kind of situation. Remember, she's going off to the bars in the middle of the day and meeting men.
She's okay with swinging her pants.
Right, exactly.
She's okay
right.
She can do it.
Yes. While the cat is away, Laura, as the mouse, will play, and vice versa. Okay, now let's go to this party. Finally, we have them. The hookers can sing.
Now they're singing "My Funny Valentine."
Yes.
So classic. A few of them are talking about sushi. And it was funny because she's talking about California roll.
Really in-depth description of California roll.
Now, I mean, I know at that time, sushi was like a new thing. So, of course, it was very exotic.
Right.
But, now you just sit here and go, like, somebody's explaining what a California roll is?
I really just think it was really funny how they underlined the different personalities of the different escorts and these little arrangements with these guys. It was really, really funny. John Plesha did a great job with the writing of that. It's fantastic. One of them, strangely, is wearing Sylvie's disco wrap dress from episode 13 of season 1. In fact, her hair even was kind of styled like
at
Sylvie.
First I thought it was Sylvie.
Wouldn't that have been funny if it was Sylvie? She ended up being an escort at a party.
If Sylvie's career didn't take off, she just reverted back to...
Anyway, the jokes are flying at this party, like we said before, with the sushi, and they were talking about diversifying, and there's some innuendo in there. I thought this was really
And the one
cute.
character, Marnie, she's getting really bombed.
Oh, yeah.
And they're kind of like shoo-shooing her away at one point because I think she's saying, oh... Isn't it her or the other character? You don't want to invest in this.
Right, exactly. Yeah. They're like, okay, enough of that. But I thought that the gentlemen playing the Japanese businessmen were all really charming. The older guy was really sweet. I don't know. I really enjoyed that interplay of that scene. But the Marnie character, who's portrayed by Stephanie Kramer, I believe is her name. She was on Hunter for 130 episodes, her big role there. But she definitely makes an impression here. First, I guess after the party's done, she's completely out of it. Like, she's totally drunk, off her little stilettos there. And we don't quite know what's going on.
Richard wakes up and then realizes, okay, the party's over, and then he's got to leave. And then he finds her on the other side of the couch. So at this point, you don't even know, I almost felt like this could be more sinister. Is she dead? What's going on?
I definitely felt that as it continued on. Where is this going?
So he's trying to wake her up, and she is not waking up.
But what's crazy is that he then throws her over his shoulder and apparently, I guess, drives her to her own apartment in and out of a car and then up 3 flights of stairs?
Yeah,
what?
And then puts her in her shower
yes.
and puts the water on. But, of course, he gets in the shower, too. And I guess he's so tired at that point, whatever. I don't know if they both pass out. But then we have this scene in the morning.
Which we just referenced in our last episode where we were ranking the men of Knots Landing.
And there he was. There he is with his, he's got his shirt off.
Okay, so I have a question here because what you find out is that once again, the clothes were wet, just like in the other episode, right? So they had to put them in the dryer and so on and so forth. He's in a towel or he's under the bed or whatever, and he says, oh my God, what time is it? She says it's 11. He goes, oh, that doesn't make sense because the party was still going past midnight. She says, no, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So he's like, oh shit. So he's putting on his pants because he's got to get home because he thinks Laura is there, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so do we need to update the Scottsy scorecard?
I think that they did. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they didn't because she made it sound like she wanted to do something with him.
Right. She was definitely like, call me. And he's like, oh, I will call you. And what I thought was interesting was that they were kissing. And they were kissing in a way that made me think that they had fooled around.
Now, but she did say that she had popped 2 lewds.
That's what she said.
So she said she popped 2 lewds. So let's put it this way. If you take 2 lewds and drinking, you ain't doing nothing. You're going to be asleep. So she conned herself out.
Should we just not update it?
I don't think I would update it.
It's a real gray area because as the episode progresses, we have a confrontation between Richard and Laura. And that's how I say she's really showing some Dom attitude in this episode, especially with Richard as well. Richard says later on that nothing happened.
I believe him.
Okay, I kind of believed him too. But then they were kissing. I don't know. It's a gray area. You let us know in the comments. Do you think that Richard and
Laura
Marnie
was
slept
kissing
together?
too?
Right.
Does
Absolutely.
That mean she slept with him?
No, but that's actually a good question as well, right?
Yeah.
Because as those events happen, do we think that they slept together?
We don't know.
I don't think they slept together.
I don't think they did.
It didn't seem like they were in that mode because remember, like I just said, Scooter was all kind of like ashamed and he's like, oh my God, his ego was hurt. And then there was a reset in Laura where she said, okay, let's just go back to what we were going to do. Let's not worry about the necking or the kissing. Let's just get some dinner and talk, which is what they did.
Yeah.
And then Laura reveals to Scooter, actually, that things have not been as great with Richard that she had just said in the previous episode when they were trimming the Christmas tree, that he's been distant, he's been quiet, he's not been talking as much. So that leaves the loophole, the room, the space for Laura to wonder what's going on. So yeah, I don't think they would have slept together. But again, what do you think? Do you think that they slept together? This is Scooter and Laura and Marnie and Richard.
Let us know.
Let us know, because I'm not going to fill this out yet. But if I need to add some marks next time, you let me know.
But I need you to sip some of that tea before it spills.
Good call.
Okay.
Good call.
Spill the tea, not here.
All right, let's talk about that scene the next morning in the Avery kitchen. They're kind of back to their method of communicating from season 2. It's
everything's okay.
Yeah, everything's okay, but they're not really getting to the meat and the potatoes. So Richard completely lies about the party. He says nothing about the shower or this woman on lewds. He says he fell into the pool. Right? And she's like, yeah, whatever. Okay. But of course, she has a lie as well because she went away to Santa Barbara. She didn't tell him that. Didn't she say she had the phone off the hook?
Yeah, she said, I went to bed early. I put the phone off the hook.
She is definitely giving me the Laura Ice Queen mode here, especially when she says, oh, what would you like for breakfast, honey? And she's cracking the egg in the thing. Yeah. Oh my God, I loved it. I was living for that. Anyway, so now we have a trip back over to Not Sliding Motors here. And we now have Abby flirting shamelessly with the auditor. He can't even keep his eyes off of her. According to Gary, she's wearing a silk blouse with no bra.
Well, there you go. That'll take care of you.
And Gary noticed that as well, apparently.
Of course he noticed it.
And then, of course, the auditor says, wow, your accounting codes are really unorthodox. And Abby says, that's how I do everything. Yes. So what do you think happens with that audit, Doug?
Well, I think that everything's fine. Don't they have to only pay a couple of dollars?
Right. So all the heat is off, and Abby has come through to really save the day. But how did she do it? She did it with a little bit of that moxie that we all know and love.
However, she always works it.
Now, the auditor does suggest to Karen and Gary that she maybe take some basic classes in, what do they call that? What do they call it? Double entry bookkeeping.
Double entry bookkeeping.
And then you see Abby sort of packing up her things, right? Because she knows this was just a temporary gig to get through the audit. And she's like, yeah, I never really wanted to work here anyway. I'm destined for bigger and better things.
Yeah, and she talked about how boring it was.
It's boring here. I want to be in PR or, maybe in, some kind of retail or something like that. And then what happens is in the midst of all this stuff, she drops the mug that Sid gave her on the first day at Not Sliding Motors, and she chokes up. And this is in front of Karen. Karen realizes that Abby's putting on a brave face. It's bravado here. So, of course, Karen has no other option but to ask her to come on full-time once again.
And of course, Abby says yes.
Yes, and she says, when she uses a tennis term, point, set, match. Yes. So we see that relationship is going to continue. We love that.
Yeah, plus she needs to be working there with Gary, doesn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we got to get this gasoline or methanol, I think is what they call it later on. Gasoline. We got to get that whole storyline cooking. All right, now, this is the closeout of the Avery stuff. For this episode, we have Scooter at the real estate office. He tells Laura that I guess the relationship between his wife and this much younger guy has falling apart. So now she wants to get back together with Scooter. And Scooter tells Laura that he doesn't want that because maybe he sees a future with Laura. And Laura's like, no, don't do that. That's not what I want, whatever. And then Richard comes in, right?
Yeah, interrupting.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, Laura is wearing the same outfit she wore last season. She looks really great. Her hair looks just amazing. Earlier, Richard was wearing the same outfit he wore too, the three-piece suit with the little brown tie. Anyway, love that.
Continuity.
I love that continuity, yes. We have Richard really coming clean now. He says that there was this lady at the party who fell asleep and he put her in the shower. I don't know if she even cares at this point. Lori doesn't
she
really
doesn't
care.
seem to care, but he's just revealing the truth, which
right,
is
but
good.
then she does give him a dig, right? Because she says, oh, did that work? Or did you have to give mouth to mouth
resuscitation?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess that's when Richard says nothing happened. And Laura says, you really expect me to believe that? I mean, yeah, you have to imagine. He has not had a good track record up until this point, right?
And neither has she.
Right. Okay. Now we have Mr. Parkhurst talking to Richard once again. This is just kind of underlining the same thing, which is that Mr. Parkhurst has no interest in Richard working on these future accounts. He's basically put him into a box, and the box is, you're my pimp.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
I think pretty much it's not going to last too long, this story.
Right, because Richard ain't going to put up with this. Yeah. We know how he actually does take pride in his abilities of what he can do. But the other thing is he pays him off, right? He pays him like a big stack of cash.
Well, that was what was kind of weird. So this ending of this episode is that Richard gets an envelope full of cash, and you're waiting to feel like, okay, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
And then what happens is you're back at the Avery's house, and it's a very quiet dinner on the
patio.
patio.
We aren't going to talk about it.
They're not going to talk about it. And whatever's going on with Laura, she's not talking about it. It's back to that same kind of
It's this crane shot that comes up, lifts off of the Averys, and it's, again, you can just see that space between them. And again, we know this has to happen because we know that the trajectory of what this season's going to be, but we also need to have them had some rekindling of the relationship early on, because newsflash, she gonna be pregnant real soon.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So who's the baby daddy? And that's why we need to have her sleep with Scooter too. So there's that question. So that is all going to happen. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Oh, spoilers.
Now, what did you think about that episode?
I thought it was a really good episode.
I did too.
It's very well written, and I feel like everything was on
We love
point.
a party scene.
It had the great balance of serious and comedy, and I don't feel like there was anything in there that didn't need to really be in there.
Right, I agree. I felt like in the other episode we talked about that B storyline at the Not Sliding Motors felt really like shoved in there. And again, it did have a little bit of a payoff, but here I felt like everything was working here. Every scene had a point, and I do think there were a lot of really great lines.
Why don't you go first?
I gave this one a 3.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I went a little higher.
Okay.
I went for 3.85.
3.85. I can vibe on that for sure. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Again, John Blachette always coming through.
Always
come on
good.
our podcast. We'll talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk. That's a later season.
It's a later season, right?
So there you have it. 3 episodes.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We must be into 1982 by the next episode, I would imagine.
I hope so.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
We will be back eventually covering another 3 episodes. That will be 308, 309, and 310. And again, the reason why we're doing 3 episodes is because we've already covered episode 10. That, of course, is the 3 Sisters coming into the pipeline.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay.
So we will see you then back on the sack. And until then, we wish you a good couple weeks here.
Happy summer.
Happy summer. Hope you're enjoying it. Bye-bye.
Bye.